Choosing what to keep. You are not obligated to inherit everything. Awareness is not the end. It is the beginning. You have examined scarcity. You have examined status. You have examined authority, emotion, migration, career, attachment. Now comes the harder question. What are you going to do with what you've seen? Because recognizing imprint is intellectually satisfying. But living differently requires choice. And choice requires courage. You are not required to reject your country. You are not required to worship it either. You are required to decide what to keep, what to adapt, what to release. That is psychological sovereignty. The mechanism, from inheritance to intentionality. National imprint becomes limiting when it is unconscious. It becomes powerful when it is chosen. Positive psychology teaches that strengths become sustainable when used deliberately. Cultural reframing teaches that traits can be reinterpreted as assets rather than liabilities. Scarcity can become resilience. Restraint can become discipline. Individualism can become creative autonomy. Collectivism can become loyal support, but only if separated from their shadows. Without audit, you either cling blindly or discard recklessly. Neither is maturity. Maturity is discernment. Discernment requires audit. Scarcity, resilience. Keep the drive. Release the fear. If you grew up in China or Singapore or any scarcity-shaped society, you likely carry financial caution, discipline, and future-oriented thinking. You plan, you save, you anticipate downturns. This is not pathology. It is strength. Scarcity cultures produce resilience. They produce long-term thinkers. They produce survivors. But they also produce chronic anxiety. If you cannot rest without calculating worst-case scenarios, the strength has turned shadow. Keep, thrift, strategic planning, long-term orientation, discipline, release or adapt, catastrophic thinking, hypervigilance toward financial loss, workaholism framed as morality. Ask yourself, is this preparation or fear? The difference matters. Resilience without anxiety is power. Resilience fueled by panic is exhaustion. Emotional restraint. Keep the discipline, ease the suppression. If you grew up in Japan or the UK or any emotionally restrained culture, you likely value composure. You do not overshare. You regulate outwardly. You protect social harmony. This is not weakness. It is social intelligence. Restraint prevents chaos. It creates stable environments. It avoids unnecessary drama. But suppression carries cost, unspoken resentment, somatic symptoms, emotional distance in relationships. Keep, measured response, emotional regulation, respect for context. Adapt, suppression of legitimate needs, avoidance of necessary confrontation, fear of vulnerability. Ask, am I being calm or am I being silent? The difference is subtle. Calm is chosen. Silence is conditioned. Individualist innovation. Keep the creativity, mitigate the isolation. If you were shaped by American or Australian individualism, you likely value autonomy. You question norms. You pursue personal fulfillment. You innovate. You take risks. This is not selfishness. It is agency. Individualism fuels creativity. It encourages reinvention. It prevents suffocation by tradition. But hyper-individualism isolates. When autonomy becomes absolute, dependence feels threatening. Community weakens. Comparison increases. Loneliness rises. Keep, creative courage, self-direction, willingness to challenge, adapt, hyper-independence, relational avoidance, identity rooted solely in achievement. Ask, am I choosing independence or defending against closeness? Innovation without connection becomes brittle. Collectivist cohesion. Keep the loyalty, question the conformity. Collectivist cultures, including China and Korea, cultivate deep relational loyalty. Family matters. Community matters. Support networks endure. This produces emotional security and shared responsibility. But conformity can suffocate individuality. Obligation can replace authenticity. Keep, loyalty, mutual aid, long-term relational commitment. Adapt, suppression of dissent. Identity sacrificed for approval. Fear of standing out. Ask, am I loyal because I value connection? Or because I fear rejection? Cohesion becomes strength when chosen, not enforced. The blind spot of overcorrection. Some people, upon recognizing imprint, swing to extremes. Raised in scarcity? Spend recklessly. Raised in restraint? Overshare dramatically. Raised in collectivism? Reject family entirely. Raised in individualism? Merge completely in relationships. This is rebellion, not integration. Discarding strengths along with limitations creates new imbalance. If scarcity gave you discipline, abandoning it entirely may destabilize you. If restraint gave you composure, rejecting it may feel performative. Integration is not inversion, it is refinement. The balanced audit. Here is the core principle. Every national imprint contains both asset and shadow. Your task is to separate them. Scarcity. Asset gives resilience, shadow gives anxiety. Restraint. Asset gives discipline, shadow gives emotional suppression. Individualism. Asset gives innovation, shadow gives isolation. Collectivism. Asset gives loyalty, shadow gives conformity. Without this separation, you remain reactive. With it, you become selective. Implications for self-esteem. When values are chosen rather than inherited blindly, self-esteem stabilizes. Instead of performing identity, you embody it. Instead of defending culture reflexively, you articulate it consciously. Self-esteem rooted in chosen values is durable. Self-esteem rooted in external approval is fragile. When you keep what strengthens you and release what limits you, confidence shifts from comparison to coherence. Relational improvements. Intentional audit transforms relationships. You can express needs without shame if you recognize restraint as conditioning rather than destiny. You can prioritize connection without suffocating autonomy if you recognize individualism's shadow. You can honor family without sacrificing personal growth if you see obligation clearly. When imprint becomes conscious, relational conflict becomes interpretable. Instead of "we are incompatible," the narrative shifts to "our imprints are different." Difference is negotiable. Blind conditioning is not. Career and identity alignment. Career dissatisfaction often emerges when inherited definitions of success no longer align with chosen values. Scarcity imprint may push you toward stability. Innovation imprint may push you toward risk. Collectivist imprint may push you toward prestigious roles. Individualist imprint may push you toward passion projects. Audit clarifies. You may keep discipline from scarcity, but release panic-driven overwork. You may keep ambition from meritocracy, but release self-worth dependency on rank. Alignment replaces autopilot. National Strengths Audit Exercise. Create a 4-column table. Imprint element, benefit, cost, keep, adapt, release plus action step. Example: scarcity planning, financial stability, chronic anxiety, keep planning, schedule no worry, days weekly. Emotional restraint, professional composure, suppressed resentment, adapt. Practice 1 honest conversation per month. Individual autonomy, creative freedom, isolation, adapt. Schedule intentional community time. Collectivist loyalty, strong family ties, difficulty saying no, adapt. Practice boundary setting scripts. Be specific. Abstract insight changes nothing. Behavioral action changes patterns. The provocative truth: you are not betraying your country by refining it. You are not dishonoring your parents by adapting. You are not arrogant for choosing differently. You are conscious. Blind loyalty is immaturity. Blind rejection is immaturity. Discernment is adulthood. From inheritance to sovereignty. Sovereignty does not mean isolation. It means authorship. You can carry heritage without being carried by it. You can embody culture without being imprisoned by it. You can keep what built you and discard what constrains you. That is not rebellion. It is evolution. Closing reflection. Ask yourself, what national trait am I proud of? What national trait secretly exhausts me? If I were raising a child, which traits would I pass on deliberately? Which would I soften? Which would I eliminate? That answer reveals your sovereignty. In the next chapter, we move deeper into integration. Because once you choose what to keep, the next step is building a coherent psychological identity from the fragments. Hybrid strength, not fragmented inheritance. But for now, remember this: you are not required to be a pure product of your origin. You are allowed to curate yourself, consciously, deliberately, and that act alone changes the trajectory of everything that follows.